Hello everybody, welcome to Totally Tabled's board game gift guide for 2025, a list of games I recommend giving out this holiday season. This video is sponsored by Bad Comet and their newly released multi-layer puzzle board game, Shallow Sea. In Shallow Sea, 1 to 4 players strategically arrange colorful fish tokens and marine life and coral tiles into patterns to create combos and score points. I've made a full solo playthrough of Shallow Sea, so please go check that out to see how it plays, and visit the Bad Comet website for more information. Links for everything will be provided in the description below. Now, in my opinion, not many board games make for a good gift. It really needs the following 5 characteristics. First, it should be a good game. Now, that goes without saying, but I said it anyway. Second, it needs to have a relatively low complexity. I'm assuming most gifts are going to people who are not experienced gamers. Third, it should have a great table presence or some kind of toy factor. I believe a gift should be exciting right when you open the box. Lots of great board games fall short of this mark. Fourth, it should be reasonably priced. Now, this is a subjective measure, and it will differ greatly depending on where you live in the world. And lastly, it needs to be available to purchase. Unfortunately, many board games are funded through crowdfunding and have limited retail releases. It hardly helps to recommend a game that's not available anywhere. Okay, let's get started with my first category, Dexterity Games. Dexterity games are an often forgotten part of the board game hobby, and I think they make the best gifts, especially for families with kids. My first recommendation is my #1 top gift, guaranteed to be successful, cannot fail. The best dexterity board game of all time, Clask. Clask is most closely related to air hockey. Each player has a pawn they control using a magnet under the table. Your goal is to knock the little yellow ball into your opponent's hole. If you fall into your own hole, you lose the point. You also must avoid the small white magnets on the board. If 2 of them attach to your pawn, you also lose the point. Clask is fast and frantic and just so much fun. Literally anyone of any age or experience can play, and they will want to, believe me. This is easily the most played game in my collection. The only negative is it is a little on the expensive side, maybe around $60 to $70, but it's well worth it for what you get. You can also buy a 4-player version of Clask with a large circular board. It's also a blast, but a lot more chaotic, way less skill-based, and it really only works with exactly 4 players. So I recommend starting with the 2-player version. Another dexterity game I recommend is Rhino Hero Super Battle. This is a card stacking game where you bend cards and build a giant tower, hoping someone else will knock it down before you do. As you build, you might have to move your little pawn to the level that you just placed, adding a little extra layer of dexterity. This is just a must-have game for kids. They absolutely love it. Now let's talk about party games. The #1 party game this year by a mile is Hot Streak. It has received so much hype, and as far as I'm concerned, it's all deserved. Hot Streak is a very simple and quick-playing betting game that can accommodate up to 9 people. You take the role of what I can only assume are gambling addicts who have decided to bet on mascot races. Unfortunately, these mascots can't really see or move very well in their costumes, so they're regularly bumping into each other, falling on their face, and even running off in the wrong direction. This makes for hilarious races that usually have a tense finish. Hot Streak would work equally well at a kid's birthday party or a drunken frat party. Its packaging makes for the perfect gift. The large, painted mascot minis are clearly displayed. The racing track actually unfurls out of the box, which then doubles as a podium for the winners. This has both the table presence and the toy factor that you want for a gift. The only downside is its limited availability and relatively high price of around $50. If you can't find Hot Streak, you might consider the similar but slightly more complex Camel Up 2nd Edition, with its pop-up board and plastic pyramid dice roller. In Camel Up, they're actually racing camels that can jump on top of each other and carry each other forward, but sometimes possibly backwards. And I also must recommend the classic party game Wavelength. You've probably heard about this one. This is a team game where the clue giver tries to name something between two extremes so that their teammates will position a dial in the correct spot. Wavelength never fails to provide a good time. Next up are cooperative games. These are games where everyone plays on the same team, trying to defeat the game rather than each other. You win together or you lose together. And these are such great games for families, especially if someone in the family isn't super competitive or, maybe a little bit shy. My first recommendation is Sky Team. This is a 2-player only cooperative dice game. One player takes the role of the pilot and the other the co-pilot of an airplane attempting to land in difficult conditions. Using limited communication, both players place dice to control the balance and speed of the plane, deploy the flaps and landing gear, and contact the tower to clear off the runway. Sky Team contains numerous scenarios, each with a unique set of new challenges, like high winds, ice, or mechanical problems. There's a ton of replayability in this small box, and each game is only like 20 to 30 minutes long, so even if you fail and crash, you can quickly set back up and play again. Sky Team also has a fun unofficial solo mode, which I've made a full solo playthrough for, so go check out the video to see the game in action. A link is in the description below. Next, I recommend Micro Macro Crime City. This is like Where's Waldo mixed with a deduction game. It's technically more of an activity than a game, but who cares? It's a ton of fun. You're given a murder case to solve, and you must search the city for a killer. The trick is, this massive map is not simply one moment in time. It shows many moments, all layered on top of each other. So you can actually follow the movement of the victim throughout the city prior to their death, and use your observation skills to discover clues and track down the killer. There really isn't anything else like this. There are currently 4 main boxes available to purchase, each with about 16 cases of varying difficulty. It really doesn't matter which box you get. There's even a version for kids if you think the murder theme is too mature. They also now have a jigsaw puzzle where you solve cases after completing the puzzle. Here are a few more games that I recommend you consider. Dwarf Romantic, a cozy co-op tile-laying game based on the video game that unlocks new rules the more you play. Horrified, a co-op pick-up and deliver game where you try to defeat classic Universal movie monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, and the Invisible Man. And Marvel United X-Men, a family-friendly co-op where you take the role of the iconic X-Men characters using their unique deck of cards to stop a powerful villain from completing their master plan. Speaking of family-friendly, let's now take a look at a few competitive titles that are good for families. Harmonies is a beautiful, puzzly, pattern-building and drafting game. Each player arranges colorful tokens on their board which represent different landscapes. You attempt to recreate the patterns on your cards to create habitats for animals. At the end of the game, you score points for those animals, but also for specific configurations of landscape tokens, like massive mountain ranges, towering forests, and long winding rivers. You gain the tokens and cards through an open draft, which is the only player interaction. Mostly the game is about puzzling out the placement of the tiles, which can be really thinky since you have such a limited space on your player board. A similar game that I highly recommend is Tiny Towns. I've made playthroughs of both, so you can check those out. Again, links are in the description. Another great game for families is Canvas. In Canvas, players take the role of painters entering an art competition. You will submit 3 paintings over the course of the game, trying to best match the requirements of the judges, which will change for each game. Paintings are made up of 3 cards put together, But the cool thing is, the cards are transparent, so the order in which you combine the cards changes what aspects are visible. If you know a particularly artsy family, this will be a guaranteed hit. Quest for El Dorado is a competitive game for 2 to 4 players that combines deck building with a race across a map. Your cards allow you to traverse the different terrains, or they provide money to buy better cards. You can customize your map to adjust the length and difficulty of the game, which makes it the perfect family game for any experience level. A few more great competitive choices include Parks, which features stunning artwork of the US national parks, and Summer Camp, a simple introduction to deck building with a kid-friendly theme. I'm now going to discuss a few games that are a little bit more complex. These are games that I wouldn't give to just anyone. It would have to be someone that I know has experience with board games and enjoys the heavier stuff. The Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship is a cooperative game for 1 to 5 players using the Pandemic system, but this is the most radical departure from classic Pandemic to date. Every player controls 2 characters, each with unique special abilities. To win, you must accomplish multiple objectives in addition to destroying the One Ring, while simultaneously fighting off shadow troops and Nazgul as they move across the land. Lord of the Rings fans will love how epic and thematic this game feels as Frodo and Sam journey to Mount Doom. And co-op fans will love the strategic gameplay that incentivizes teamwork. This is not a cash grab. The IP here has been lovingly integrated to create one of the best board games of 2025. Vantage is an open-world cooperative exploration game for 1 to 6 players, but it's not a campaign game. Each play is a self-contained session. Vantage focuses exclusively on exploration and streamlines all other mechanisms like character development and resource management and combat. Here, you are given an entire alien planet to walk around, discovering mysterious creatures and intelligent life. It's presented from a first-person perspective, like those old computer games like Myst. The actual storytelling is left for you to use your imagination to fill in the gaps. I've made 2 playthroughs and a first impressions video for Vantage, so be sure to check those out for more information. I also recommend checking out Invincible, the hero building game, which is a clever scenario-based bag building co-op in the popular Invincible comic book universe. Space Base, a dice game where you purchase cards that only activate when a specific number is rolled on 2 6-sided dice. And Clank Catacombs, a sequel to the popular deck building game that lets you construct the dungeon as you explore it. Solo gaming has exploded in the last 5 years, with more games featuring solo modes than ever before. If you know someone who is interested in playing board games alone, there are so many great options. In fact, that's what this channel is all about. I recently made a list of the top 10 solo games everyone should play. I'm going to refer to that list here rather than repeat myself. A link to the video is in the description below. For gift ideas, I especially recommend looking at the sections on Warp's Edge, a solo-only bag-building ship-fighting game, Cascadia, a tile layer that is also a great multiplayer family game, Cartographers or Cartographers Heroes, a flip-and-write game with drawing that can play any number of people at once, The Last Lighthouse, a solo-only micro card game with a spooky theme, The Lost Expedition, a 1 to 2 player co-op survival game with gorgeous tarot-sized cards, and For Northwood, a cute solo-only trick-taking game. And speaking of For Northwood, here's a list of a few other small box games that would make excellent inexpensive gifts or stocking stuffers. The Crew Mission Deep Sea is a cooperative trick-taking game for 2 to 5 players. This is one of the best cooperative experiences you can have. It really plays out more like a group deduction game using the quirks of trick-taking, and it's just an absolute must-play. Push is a push-your-luck card game for 2 to 6 players. Any family that plays Uno regularly will love this quick game of trying to collect high-numbered cards without busting. Longshot the Dice Game is a roll-and-write racing game for 1 to 8 players. You can buy horses, place bets, and utilize special abilities depending on what the dice roll. This is a big party game in a small package. Now, just because you have a board game fanatic in your life, that doesn't mean that you have to get them a board game. How about gifting them my favorite board game accessory, Iron Clay poker chips? These poker chips by Roxley Games are the exact type that I use in so many of my videos. They're the perfect balance of premium look, feel, and weight without the premium price. High-quality poker chips can be stupid expensive. Iron Clays are reasonably priced, and best of all, they look classy. They aren't garish like so many chips. They have nice muted colors, but they're also very easy to read. They're hefty, like I said, and they make a satisfying click when you fidget with them. I use these for money in probably 95% of games I play. I actually prefer them to metal coins or any other form of upgraded money. For more board game accessory ideas, you can check out my video Top 10 Board Game Accessories. I'll have the link in the description below. And lastly, you can give the gift of digital board games with a membership to Board Game Arena. I've been a member for over 5 years, and I play almost every week. What I love about Board Game Arena is the games are programmed. It's not just a virtual table, so all the rules are enforced and the interface is very easy to use. Their selection of games is really amazing. They have classics as well as brand new games, simple card games and filler games as well as heavy Euros. They have games that play all player counts, including solo. In fact, several of the games I've mentioned on this list are playable, including Sky Team, Harmonies, Canvas, Parks, The Crew, Space Base, and the Lord of the Rings Fate of the Fellowship. They also have many of my favorite games like Through the Ages, Great Western Trail, Ark Nova, Obsession, A Feast for Odin, Castles of Burgundy, and Lost Ruins of Arnak. You can get a monthly subscription for $5 a month, or drop $42 on a yearly subscription, which is like $3.50 a month. That is the best deal in all of board gaming, period. And there we go, a bunch of gift ideas for this holiday season. What games did I miss? Please include them in the comments below. And if you like the video, please subscribe to the channel and think about becoming a Patreon member. I'd like to thank all of the financial supporters of Totally Tabled, including the totally radical Mitch Fisher, Hextra, John Kohler, Scott Myers, and Jay Satterwhite, as well as the totally bodacious Tobias Schumacher. If you're interested in becoming a member, you can join on YouTube or my Patreon at www.patreon.com/totallytabled. You'll gain access to my new exclusive podcast, Table Talk, as well as unboxing videos and whatever extra stuff I come up with. As always, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.